A good horror story should always include some kind of curse. Whether it's a tale of a haunted house or about an entity seeking revenge for its suffering, curses are the perfect way to make the story even more suspenseful. And today we've prepared a story for you that involves a curse, an unsealed tomb, and a desperate search to find the missing archaeologist. So let's dive right in and tell you the story of the cursed tomb that swallowed up the scientist Yusuf. In the heart of the Egyptian desert, under an unforgiving sun, young scientist Yusuf stood contemplating the entrance to a newly discovered pharaonic tomb near the Valley of the Kings. He could feel the weight of history pressing down on him, the echoes of millennia whispering tales of pharaohs and their eternal slumber. This tomb, however, was different. It exuded an eerie silence, a quiet hum of untold stories waiting to be unveiled. Yusuf wasn't just any archaeologist. He was driven by an insatiable curiosity, a thirst for knowledge that led him to the most hidden and forgotten corners of ancient Egypt. For years he had dedicated his life to understanding the mysteries of the past, piecing together the fragments of history to reveal the secrets of the pharaohs. His reputation as a brilliant but somewhat reckless explorer had preceded him, drawing both admiration and skepticism from his peers. Some saw him as a modern-day Indiana Jones, unafraid to venture where few had dared to go before. Others viewed him as a foolhardy maverick, risking everything for a chance to make history. This new discovery was unlike anything Yusuf had encountered before. The tomb's location was a testament to its secrecy, tucked away from the bustling tourist routes and the prying eyes of the world. The very fact that it had remained hidden for so long fueled Yusuf's determination to explore it. The tomb's entrance gaped like a silent mouth, swallowing the sunlight and casting an unnerving darkness that seemed to beckon him forward. It was as if the tomb itself was a sleeping giant, waiting for someone to awaken it from its slumber. As Yusuf stood there, the weight of the moment hit him. This was more than just another archaeological find. This was a chance to rewrite history, to unveil secrets that had lain dormant for centuries. With a mix of excitement and trepidation, Yusuf took a deep breath, adjusted his equipment, and stepped into the unknown. The air inside was thick with the scent of dust and decay, a pungent reminder of the tomb's age. Each step he took echoed in the vast emptiness, amplifying the sound and making it seem like a monstrous heartbeat. The darkness was absolute, impenetrable, pressing against him like a physical force. Yusuf fumbled for his flashlight, its beam cutting through the darkness like a small but defiant sword. The beam danced across the walls, revealing intricate hieroglyphic inscriptions that told stories of a forgotten past. But as he explored further, he realized something unsettling. There were no sarcophagi, no treasures, no remnants of funerary rituals. The tomb was devoid of the riches one would expect to find in a pharaoh's resting place. It was as if the tomb had been stripped bare, its secrets buried along with its owner. Among the walls covered in hieroglyphic inscriptions, Yusuf read a warning written in ancient blood. The message was stark, a chilling premonition that sent shivers down his spine. Whoever awakens the repose of Sekhemre will reap his curse forever. The name Sekhemre meant little to Yusuf, at least not at the time. But as he delved deeper into the tomb's mysteries, he would come to learn the terrible significance of that name. As he turned to leave, the ground beneath him trembled slightly. At first, he dismissed it as an earthquake. However, when the trembling persisted, he knew something was amiss. Then the flickering light of his lamp revealed something horrifying. The path behind him had vanished, swallowed by the darkness, leaving him alone in the heart of the tomb with nothing but the echoes of his own footsteps. But then he heard a sound that froze his blood, the unmistakable sound of footsteps approaching him in the darkness. Yusuf's heart pounded against his ribs, each thump echoing the relentless beat of his fear. Was he being stalked by something ancient, something disturbed from its eternal rest? Or was it merely the figment of a terrified imagination playing tricks on him? As the footsteps drew closer, Yusuf scrambled for his flashlight, its beam dancing wildly as he tried to pierce the oppressive darkness. But the shadowy figure seemed to move with an unnatural swiftness, always staying just beyond the reach of the light. Panic threatened to consume him, but he forced himself to remain calm. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, the pursuit ceased. The footsteps faded into the darkness, and an eerie silence descended once more. Trembling, Yusuf continued his journey deeper into the tomb. Each step was a battle against his own fear, every echo a potential harbinger of danger. In the distance, he saw a glimmer of light, a beacon in the oppressive darkness. Hope surged through him, chasing away some of the fear. He stumbled towards it, his pace quickening. As he drew closer, the light grew brighter, revealing a small opening at the end of the passage. With newfound determination, Yusuf pushed on, eager to escape the suffocating darkness. When he finally reached the opening, the sight that greeted him made him gasp. Before him lay a vast chamber, its floor strewn with ancient artifacts, including several sarcophagi adorned with hieroglyphics. But what truly captivated his attention was the source of the light, a crack in the far wall, allowing a sliver of sunlight to penetrate the tomb's eternal darkness. It was in this chamber that Yusuf's journey took a sinister turn, a turn that would lead him to the heart of the tomb's curse. The very air in the chamber seemed to crackle with an unseen energy, and as Yusuf moved further into the room, he felt an overwhelming sense of dread wash over him. As he approached the crack in the wall, he noticed something disturbing. The sunlight streaming through the opening illuminated a series of ancient hieroglyphs, their colors vibrant despite their age. These weren't just any markings. They were the key to the tomb's secrets, the warning of its curse. With a mixture of fascination and apprehension, Yusuf deciphered the hieroglyphs. The images depicted scenes of great wealth, power, and unimaginable horrors. As he pieced together their meaning, a grim understanding dawned on him. He had stumbled upon the final resting place of Pharaoh Sekhemra, a ruler whose reign had been marked by unimaginable cruelty and decadence. And the curse whispered in the hieroglyphs was a promise that anyone who disturbed Sekhemra's eternal slumber would suffer a fate worse than death. Yet, driven by an insatiable curiosity and the thrill of the chase, Yusuf ignored the warning. He believed he was invincible, that he could outsmart the spirits that guarded the tomb. But he had reckoned without the wrath of a scorned pharaoh. As he stood there deciphering the last of the hieroglyphs, the air around him began to shift. The temperature dropped dramatically, sending a shiver down his spine. The hairs on the back of his neck stood on end, and a low growl echoed through the chamber, vibrating in his bones. In the blink of an eye, the crack in the wall widened, revealing not a peaceful afterlife, but the entrance to a dark and terrifying realm. From this abyss emerged not the spirit of a benevolent king, but a creature of pure malevolence. Its eyes burned with an otherworldly fire, and its form seemed to shift and writhe like smoke. Before Yusuf could react, the creature lunged. Its touch was like ice fire, searing and freezing at the same time. And with a deafening roar that shook the very foundations of the tomb, it vanished back into the abyss, pulling Yusuf toward it. With a strength that defied his own, the creature dragged Yusuf into the swirling vortex. He struggled, kicking and screaming, but his efforts were futile. He was being pulled inexorably toward the darkness. Then, as abruptly as it began, it stopped. Yusuf found himself lying on cold stone floor, gasping for breath, his body racked with pain. As he looked around, he realized with a jolt that he was no longer in the chamber. He was back in the narrow passageway where his journey into the tomb had begun. But he was not alone. Scattered around him were the remains of his team, their bodies bearing the same icy markings he had seen on himself. It was then that Yusuf understood the true horror of the curse. It was not just a warning, it was a punishment. and he was not the first to fall victim to it. In the heart of the tomb, something stirred. Sekemre's spirit, enraged by the desecration of his eternal rest, had claimed its latest victims. And as the tomb settled back into its eternal silence, the only sound that could be heard was the whisper of the curse. A promise that whoever disturbs the slumber of the pharaohs will pay the ultimate price. And so the tomb remained undisturbed, its secrets buried along with its cursed pharaoh. The world above moved on, oblivious to the horrors that lurked beneath the sands of Egypt. But every so often, when the wind shifted and the desert wind howled through the cracks in the tomb, the whisper of the curse could be heard, a chilling reminder of the price of forbidden knowledge.